Welcome back to another video on the broken clock, where I'm right maybe twice a day. So I have a 2025 Buick Encore GX ST, and I need to put the trailer hitch on it. I wound up ordering a factory trailer hitch and wiring harness delivered to a local Buick dealership that participates in the online Buick order rewards thing that I had some points from purchasing this car. So today I'm gonna be putting on the factory hitch. There's a lot of good videos like on eTrailer or whatever that talk about how to take the vehicle apart and stuff, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that. It's gonna be focused more on the installation of the factory hitch, as well as the wiring harness and that type of stuff. And I apologize if you see my dog in the video. It's just us two here together today. Everybody else is gone, and so he's hanging out in the shop with me. And I also apologize for the lighting. These shop lights have been a terrible investment, and I would not recommend buying them. They're Honeywell, and all of them have been replaced at least 2 or 3 times, and they're 5-year warranty, so I will be getting different ones.
Shut up and sit down.
So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pull out here, and then here is a pull up off the little hooks underneath. Just kind of got to get your hands in there and work them around. You can use work gloves, you know, if you don't want to cut your fingers up. Now we get to the fun part. Take the rear crash bar off and put the new crash structure and hitch on. And it's not quite a Christmas tree, but just about as annoying. Just be careful when you're removing these, because if you demolish these, they won't stay in place anymore. So. So it's got seam sealer here, and I need to cut that seam sealer before I start taking this off. So after some more cutting, some more yanking, this came off. So that was fun. Now, time to figure out how to assemble this crossbar. Now that I got the rear impact beam off. It says apply GM Super Lube or equivalent to yellow highlighted areas and any exposed bare metal surfaces. Oh, yeah, it does have exposed bare metal right there, because there was something holding it. It's probably where they were holding it on the assembly line. Interesting. Well, looks like I'll be taking this off to put some cavity wax or something on it. in the meantime, put a little WD-40 on it. This place is water. I guess I could have primed it. All right, insert guide arms in the chassis rail. Install two shorter bolts. Washers hand tighten. So, let's see. Probably have all sorts of hardware in here, huh? So, I've got 4 through bolts. Washers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts. So that leaves me with those. Shorter bolts with washers, hand tighten only. So even though it doesn't have, oh, is that threaded? Oh, these are threaded. Got it. I was a little curious for a second. So I'm gonna have one here. That curve goes on the top. There's not super clear directions, which is right and which is left. Except that. Oh, awesome. Well, that was fun. You know how I said these lights keep dying on me? My work light right here died. Thankfully I have one extra one and I just plugged it into the wall. So it looks like the one with 2 bolt holes goes on this side, and then there's a slotted one that goes on the passenger side. I'm assuming so it can take into account any variation you have. So bolts go in the frame here, hand tight. Oh, hey, I got my light back. They're very hard to start because there's paint on the threads, I believe. So I can get both of these started and gun them in probably. Get those threads cleaned out so they're a little easier to start once it's in here. Okay, it does have torque specs, but after I do this part of it. So. Got a bolt, a washer that goes down all 4 spots. All right, so one of the things I've been thinking through and how I want to handle this is how I want to cut the bumper. So I'm going to do that here in a little bit. So I wound up electing not to spend $150 to purchase the trim that goes on here. I'm going to correct myself right here, and either I misremember the price or it's gone up, and I think it's the latter. It's actually $300 now for that trim piece. So you can probably ignore every other time I say that I am going to be purchasing the trim. I just wanted to see if I could trim it smaller, because it's a pretty large opening. See if I can trim it appropriately, where I can still access this part of it and the wiring without having to cut as big a hole. If not, it's not a big deal to go back in later and cut a larger hole. It's not that big a deal. You can look and learn from my misfortune, or try it yourself. Now I'm going to set the torque spec, and I'll link to these directions because there's a little thing that comes in the box that says where to find the instructions if you're a dealership, and if you're a DIYer to ask your dealership to print them out for you. I wasn't expecting that. All the Chrysler ones I've ever done had directions in the box, so this was a new one for me. All right, side arms, 100 Newton meters, 74 foot-pounds. Hitch beam bolts, same thing, 74 foot-pounds, 100 Newton meters. Should already be in Newton meters. All right, for some reason that wasn't working. So my units are usually Newton meters, because I have a lot of foreign German cars. So we'll do set. To 100. Is there any special information? Nope. All right. Because this is hidden back here, we get a short extension and torque this guy. Might be a little too tight. These are grade 10.9, so yeah. So hit the set button. Surge. Right. That's that torqued. Now I need to find another 19 millimeter so I can hold the bottom bolt. Some of my big tools are scattered because I'm redoing suspension on one of the cars. Everything on it's like a 19 or a 16, 19, or yeah, 16 or 19. Make my hand hurt holding this. I know somebody out there in the comments is going to be screaming, why don't you do this? And if you are, please write that. That way, not a little too late for this guy, but next time, I know what to have another idea. These snap onto here on the outside of the rail. Okay. And then the factory hitch wiring goes in through this grommet here. So on the inside, the outside of the bracket. Goes on the outside of the bracket, okay? Oh, that makes sense. Careful, there's little tiny washers on this thing. They're probably like 6 mil bolts. Hopefully they're 7 mil, because I already have my 7 mil out. They look real tiny. Going through this hole. Sort that out here in a minute where that goes. But I have that guy there. Goes back up to there, to there. Inside, remove rear trunk floor covering. Check for trailer inline bundle. And trailer wiring will come in here. Oops, sorry. Trailer wiring will come in here, clip into this. There's a little, I don't know if I can, you won't be able to see it because I'm in my light. There's a hole here to put this little Christmas tree in. I'll do that after I get this locked in. But yeah, there you go, just hanging out. So I hadn't planned on cutting this whole piece out because it seems too wide for really what's necessary, but after looking at how they did the wiring and other stuff, I think I am going to have to cut it that wide. So now I've got to go find something good to cut it with. My rotary saw apparently is missing its rotary cutoff wheel, so we'll see what I can come up with. Well, I wound up starting it with some speed holes, and then I'll work on getting most of this cut out and trimming it up pretty nice. It's actually cutting really nice and not leaving a whole bunch of garbage on the outside. So here's what I'm gonna do. I actually figured out it's really easy to separate this trim piece from the bumper. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and reassemble the vehicle without this little piece of trim on it, and then I will figure out the right tool, what I'm gonna use to cut these this panel out with. So with everything torqued and in place, my wiring harness connected, everything else, like I said, I'm gonna start working on putting this back together. Sans the little trim piece that goes over this, because that's real easy to put on after the fact. So I'll get started with that here in a second.
Shut up and sit down.
Can anybody figure out something I did wrong in my video? I forgot to hook the wiring back in on the bumper before I reconnected it. Thankfully, now that I have this giant hole in my bumper for the hitch, it's real easy to fish my arm in there and reconnect it, but it would have been real nice to remember that before I got it all snapped on. Well, as you can see, I started off with the wrong tool. I should have used my little sonic vibrating cutoff tool to begin with. So probably will be buying that trim ring. But the nice thing is now I know I can take this off without having to remove the whole bumper, hopefully. And then, or maybe I'll leave it off until I get the trim in. But I'm going to go ahead and sand it real quick so it looks a little better before I put it back on. So this shouldn't take too long to get on. You have all these clips, and then you have 2 T15s, I believe, in each corner, and then you have the push pins that I took out initially to get it back on. So I'll get that popped back on. So I think I am going to get the trim piece, the little fascia or whatever you want to call it, because it is really just an aesthetics piece. But right here and right here, there's a little spot where a rib starts that we cut away. So I'd cover that up, and I still didn't do the best job on this. So if I'd started with my other cutoff tool, it might be cleaner. I don't know. So yesterday though, I went and grabbed a 4-pin tester from Harbor Freight. It's about $4.50. You can get them off Amazon as well. And I'm going to check and make sure my 4-pin's working before I actually go pick up something this weekend that I need to tow with it. So you can get these off, like I said, I think these are off Amazon too, but it's $4.50 at Harbor Freight. I'm going to test my lights and make sure they're working. Yeah. So I'm all ready to go pick up my dolly tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in for another video on the broken clock, and hope to catch you in the next one. Thanks.